Hi. Well, after the big months of June and July, August has certainly been a lot quieter on the e-scooter front. I guess that's probably because of the COVID-19 lockdowns and also the fact that our lawmakers are focused on other things right now. Still, there has been some news, and I'll share the key news items with you in this episode. And also, I've received an update from the Tasmanian Liberals on their progress towards legalisation in the Apple Isle, so I'll share that with you as well. One other thing, if you're in the market for mirrors, rear view mirrors for your scooter, I reviewed 3 different types this month, and I made a video about that which you can look at here. So without any further ado, let's get to the news.
So first up, the Cairns Post reports that Beam, on the back of its success in Townsville, is now in negotiations with Douglas Council to bring its purple scooters into Port Douglas. Beam's spokeswoman, Michelle Long, said residents and tourists would soon have access to their service at resorts and several pick-up and drop-off points. She went on to say, Beam recently launched their service in Townsville and have big innovations planned for Port Douglas. Sounds interesting. However, the company's enthusiasm doesn't seem to be matched in these words from the Mayor of Douglas Shire, Michael Kerr. They're probably not suited to whizzing up and down Macrossan Street, but I think on balance they are a positive thing. I'm sure a lot of tourists at the resorts, which is where I believe some of the stations will be, will find them a good transport alternative. He doesn't sound overcome with enthusiasm, does he? Still, I guess you'd have to say that any approval for a trial is a coup for Beam, given the hostility shown to them by the Cairns Council. Meanwhile, in Tasmania, the battle for hearts and minds is ramping up. The cities of Hobart and Launceston are both planning to commence trials by the end of the year. However, there has been community concern expressed about safety. Launceston City Council Project Officer Jared Ranson said the council's #1 priority was safety, and they were working to ensure problems seen in the previous trials, such as scooter dumping or scooters being parked on paths, were not repeated. As part of the EOI process, vendors have been asked to demonstrate how they will meet community expectations in terms of safety for riders and the general public, encourage responsible riding and incentivise responsible parking. Tasmanian Small Business Council CEO Robert Mallett says electric scooters create a buzz for small Tassie businesses. Shared electric scooters touting environmental and traffic congestion benefits could also support businesses in the city. Hobart and Launceston City Councils have received 6 submissions for their expressions of interest to provide rental e-scooters through a 12-month trial, which would begin by the end of this year. Hobart City Council Lord Mayor Anna Reynolds said the EOI submissions were being evaluated. "We expect a report to come to Council by the end of August," she said. So, watch this space. And now for something really out of left field. South Australian police are set to trial riding e-scooters as they patrol Adelaide CBD. Yes, you heard that right. The trial, believed to be the first in Australia, I reckon it'd be the first in the world, will involve 3 different types of e-scooters that will each be assessed for their suitability. The 3 e-scooters purchased for the 6-month trial are about to be equipped with police livery, including flashing blue and red lights to enable the public to recognise them as official police vehicles. And no, they won't have sirens. Assistant Commissioner Scott Duval said the trial, which will start once the fit-out has been completed and training is completed, would determine if the e-scooters were a viable option for police use in the city. The purpose of the trial is to test their usefulness across a whole range of situations and scenarios. In the first instance, it will extend the range of our foot patrols. And in case you fancy taking a cop's scooter when he's busy arresting someone, be warned. In the event an officer needs to leave the e-scooter quickly to chase or apprehend an offender, security measures are being fitted to prevent them from being used if stolen. Bugger. So I guess this is another interesting use case for the humble e-scooter. So I followed up, as I said I would, on Peter Gutwin's election promise to make electric scooters legal across his state. I was advised by a Liberal staffer that the latest news is contained in this media release from July. So on the 17th of July, this was put out by Michael Ferguson, the Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, and he starts with a clear statement that e-scooters are set to hit our streets by summer, providing a cost-effective and low-pollution, congestion-busting transport alternative in Tasmania. So that's good. He goes on to mention the fact that this trial will include e-skateboards and hoverboards, and can be used by both commercial hire ride operators and private users on footpaths, shared paths and local roads. So this is a great statement here because it's very inclusive in as much as it includes e-skateboards and hoverboards, so all PMDs are welcome to participate. And also that's very important to note is that he's included private users in this trial, in this plan. And that sets Tasmania apart from many other jurisdictions where they've restricted their trials to only be operated by hire companies and there's no private users can participate. And this is unfortunate in my view because there's a lot of evidence, hard evidence in fact, that's been gathered that demonstrates that private users are actually more responsible and more law-abiding when it comes to the use of their scooters than the hire users. So that's a good thing to note. He goes on to say that obviously scooters are not currently legal if they have an output of greater than 200 watts. And so down here, the Tasmanian government has identified amendments to the regulations required to allow these modern e-scooters to be used at certain speeds on most local roads, footpaths, shared paths and bicycle paths, and will work with stakeholders including local government on their formalisation and adoption. So they've already identified the amendments that need to be made and now it's just a matter of getting them through the Parliament and out to the people. So that's pretty encouraging, I would have to say. Once they are legalised, anyone 16 years of age or older will be able to use an e-scooter. So they've set what I think is probably a sensible age limit of 16 and above. And the last line here I think is worth noting too. A public education campaign on the legal and safe use of e-scooters will be rolled out once the amendments take effect. So again, this is something that has not been done by the other jurisdictions with the possible exception of Canberra, where they will actually run some campaigns to educate and inform the public about what this means. Whether you're going to be riding an e-scooter or not, you need to know what the regulations are so that people can know that they're safe when they're riding or when they're sharing a path with someone else who's riding. So I think overall this is a very good statement of intent from the Gutman government. It is only a statement of intent right now, but it's certainly a good starting point, and we'll follow up on this story to see how it progresses. Okay, so there's been some chat on the channel lately about the e-scooter trials in Melbourne, saying that they're already underway. However, I've not been able to find any official statement that supports that. So where we are here is the VicRoads website. Their most recent update on the matter was dated on the 28th of July 21. So it's a month old now, but what it says is basically, yes, the trial will happen. The Victorian government will be partnering with a select number of local councils to conduct electric e-scooter trials in Victoria to understand how these vehicles can be safely incorporated into the Victorian transport network. However, it doesn't specify a start date and it doesn't really say what stage negotiations are at. There's also this document that I found. This was a report to the Future Melbourne Committee about how Melbourne can participate in the Victorian government's e-scooter trial. This was dated on the 1st of June, so again it's fairly old, but still in here it's suggesting that this will be a expressions of interest process whereby the councils will have to submit EOIs to the state government to be selected for it to run trials in their cities. And the document down here says that the submission date for the EOI was the 4th of June, so that's passed now, so they have been submitted, and as I understand it, Melbourne has been successful and will be one of the trial councils. However, it doesn't say when that's going to commence, and the next stage, as I understand it, is that now the council is putting out EOIs to the suppliers, to the hire scooter companies, and it will choose suitable candidates from those EOIs to actually run the trial. Another important thing to note here, if you scroll down to point 6, the trial will only legalise shared e-scooter fleets managed by companies which have agreements with councils participating in the trial. This will allow councils to require high standards of e-scooter management to protect the amenity of the city. So there's certainly in this statement ruling out the opportunity for private owners of e-scooters to participate in the trial. So that's important to understand if you're in the market to buy a scooter. Right now, if you live in Melbourne or indeed anywhere in Victoria, if you buy a scooter that has a power rating greater than 200 watts, then you can't legally ride it, and you still won't be able to legally ride it while the trials are on. If anyone has any other information on this, more up-to-date information, please let me know. It needs to be a quotation from a recognised authority and not just some rumour that you picked up off the internet. But please let me know if you have more up-to-date information. I'd like to try and keep the information on this channel as up-to-date as possible. Thanks. Lastly, in case you missed it, the new F-series of the world's most popular e-scooter, the Segway Ninebot, has arrived on our shores. There's a good reason the Ninebot is so popular. It's compact, lightweight and waterproof, making it the ideal commuter scooter. Improvements on the F-series include 10-inch pneumatic tyres front and back, and an included spare tyre, head and tail lights, and front and rear disc brakes with regenerative ABS on the front. The highest spec F40 gives you a top speed of 30 km an hour and a range of 40 km. Recommended pricing ranges from $8.99 for the F20 up to $11.99 for the top of the line F40A. Sounds like a jet fighter, doesn't it? The F30 and the F40A are available at JB Hi-Fi now. The F20 and the F25 can be purchased online at PanMe. Well, that's it for this update. I hope you found this information useful, and if you have suggestions for future topics, please leave them in the comments section. Also, if you're lucky enough to be riding any of the new scooters reviewed in this channel, please let me know what you think of them. You can do this by emailing me at the address shown on the About tab. To make sure you catch future updates, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new content. Till next time, thanks for watching and ride on!